Welcome to Salute to the Ears, where my family and I discuss everything Disney, from parks, food, and rides to travel tips, movies, and more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salute to the Ears. I'm your host, Jeremy Simon. And with me once again is my wife, Erica.
Hey, y'all.
And we are going to begin, this is the first part of a series, and it's going to be our must-dos.
Yeah, we are counting down the days until we are back in Florida and going to the parks. And because of that, we have been talking pretty much nonstop about what we want to do and where we want to go and where we want to eat. And so we thought we would break that down for you guys.
Right. So we're going to kind of take it in the order of how we're doing the parks on this trip, so I can kind of keep it straight in my head. But the first park we're going to is Disney's Animal Kingdom. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to break it down must-dos on rides.
Yes.
And then food, and this can be snacks, meals, restaurants. And then entertainment, which is shows, cavalcades, flotillas, meet and greets, fireworks, any of that for all the parks.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're going to actually start with rides. And actually, we have gotten the kids' input on this too, so we know what their rides are as well.
Yeah. Unlike trying to break this all down for you guys the way we did in the draft, I mean, we've kind of done that, a little bit of like, hey, these are our top, things when we did our NFL draft, breakdown. But one, it's changed a little bit with the prospect of actually going and time of year that we're going and all of that. And two, that was hard to record with them and like when we did draft day.
Got a little bitty space here that we do our podcast in, and trying to move people in and out of here was not as easy as we had hoped. So we just got their input, and I'm sure on one of these Brooklyn will probably hop in, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so I have a feeling that for the most part, we're either a consensus on the ride or we're pretty evenly split.
Right. I'm going to make sure that there's at least one other one in this, because in a lot of these parks, I shouldn't say a lot of these parks, in some of these parks, we're going to have must-dos that are going to be the same thing.
Well, Animal Kingdom in particular only has so many rides. Actual, like, stand-in-the-line ride.
Do you consider the trails one of the rides? Or is that entertainment?
I don't consider the trail a ride because you get to do it at your own pace. There's not really... I've never had to stand in a line to go through it. The only time we really did that was the last time you and I went, which was still middle of the pandemic, masks full time. Everybody stands 6 feet apart, like the whole shebang. In December of 2020 is that they rushed us through seeing the gorillas. Right.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
Because they didn't want, it's kind of an enclosed space where you can view them at, and they didn't want people to just be
hunker down right there.
Right, and just like for a long period of time.
They even had it like taped off in sections, and you had to move from section to section to section, and then you were done.
Yep.
It
was way too quick, but I would say that one to me falls under, like, that's just part of the park for me. I don't even necessarily consider that entertainment.
Then I would say it has to be an attraction, because the animals are the attraction on that part then.
Okay. So it still doesn't make my top two. So
there was that when I sat down and broke it down, I kind of looked at it as if I was a first time goer, what would be a must do, or what I tell them are some must do's, and it kind of opened up some more things. Like I think for Brooklyn and Jackson for sure, Flight of Passage was their ride.
Well, yeah.
Which I get. Like I completely 100. I get. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but are we talking our must-dos, or are we talking like what we would tell somebody else should be their must-do?
Either.
Okay, so I have been, as we've been talking about this series and as we've been breaking this down, I have been thinking about this in terms of like, what is our must-dos? What is my must-do? What is the thing that I'm most excited about versus like just, and because not everything that is going to be on my must-do list is going to be the thing that I am going to necessarily recommend to somebody, especially depending on the age of their kids.
Right.
So if you have littles, you know, I'm not necessarily going to recommend Expedition Everest as your top ride because that's going to be way more difficult for you to try to accomplish.
It is.
You know, I'm definitely going to be like Safari all the way.
Okay, so what's your must-do?
My absolute must-do, I do not want to leave Animal Kingdom without getting on, is Pandora. Flight of Passage. I absolutely will not step foot on Navi River Journey again. Maybe if it was an absolute walk-on and I didn't have to wait in line at all, but that's about the only way that I would step foot on that ride again. But my top two for me are nearly tied at Flight of Passage and Safari. And Safari comes in second only because so many of those animals we are incredibly, incredibly blessed to have here in Kansas City as well.
Yeah.
And have really good up-close opportunities to be around those animals in a cool way as well at the Kansas City Zoo. And so for me, some of that gets lost in the kind of zoo aspect for me.
Okay.
So it comes in second, whereas I'm like, Flight of Passage is something I cannot do anywhere else.
Right. No, and I get that. I think for me, I don't know that I can feel like I've been at Animal Kingdom if I haven't gone on the Safari. And I love Flight of Passage. It's like if you could have 1A and 1B, I mean, that's what it would be. But I don't feel like that Safari, I feel like, is unique enough to Animal Kingdom compared to a normal zoo that it kind of separates itself.
I think for me, there's just aspects of the Safari that we get some better opportunities to interact with certain animals that are there, like the elephants.
Yeah.
Like, y'all, if you ever get the chance to come to Kansas City or if you're here local in Kansas City, you know what I'm talking about with the Kansas City Zoo. They have this incredible opportunity to just walk the entire length of the elephant exhibit. And I mean, you were just, 4 feet from them, 5 feet from them? I mean, at least it feels like you're
fairly close.
It feels like you could reach out and touch them. You can't, but it feels that way.
It's close enough to where you can look in their eyes.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And, you know, getting to see them interact with enrichment activities and food and water elements and, you know, they've done just such an incredible job of that where you can just sit there. I mean, you literally can just sit on a bench and just like hang out with an elephant all day if you want.
Right.
Whereas for me, that's like the hard part about the Safari is that depending on the day, you may or may not see
time of
day, you may or may not see the animals that you wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are harder to get a good up close view of, like the elephants. Some of them you get a really cool up close view often.
Right.
Zebras, giraffes, even the rhinos sometimes, you know, depending on, again, time of day. But and they have some really awesome baby animals right now, which is just incredible. And I do want to see them. But for me, it feels a little too zoo-like for me that it doesn't hit my number one.
Okay. I think for me, the other part of it is when you're on that truck and when it is a good round of the Safari, that is really, I feel like, the one time in that park on a ride that you still get to experience some of that magic.
Yeah.
You get to hear the kids excited and...
Or scared.
or scared. Because there's, like, last time we were there, the rhino came up right next to the truck.
Oh, yeah.
Like we had to stop, and then it was, like, right next to us.
That rhino was absolutely close enough that there were certain people in the truck that absolutely could have reached out and touched it if they had attempted to. Nobody attempted to, but...
Right. And that's memories...
And you shouldn't.
Right. Don't do that. Bad. But that's memories that are going to stick with those kids.
Oh, and even with
those
us,
families.
Don't get me wrong. I will tell, any of our friends that have been first-timers, anybody we've talked to that's a first-timer, that is the thing that I tell them, especially if they have younger kids. Right? Like the 10 and under crowd, 12 and under crowd. I'm like, absolutely, you need to do the safari. Mm-hmm. One, because it is something that almost everybody can do.
Right.
I know...
If your back is not good, do not go on this ride.
It really is very rough. It does jostle you around a lot. So if you have, bad back, bad hips, things like that, it's probably not the right ride for you. However, there are some options there for accessibility.
There are.
With that ride. So don't completely discount it, but you may need to look into it farther, look at some POVs, all of that kind of stuff to determine whether or not you think that that's an option for you.
And they do have trucks where you can pull a scooter onto. Mm-hmm. You just have to make arrangements with the cast members that are there in order to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Really, I think that's more for a wheelchair than a scooter, though, right? Like a full-time, wheelchair.
Possibly. Pretty sure I saw a video where they were pulling a scooter on there.
Okay.
So I would talk to them there to find out
what your options are. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, it literally hits. Like if you can have a 1A and a 1B, I mean that's how it hits for me. It's just enough for me to knock it out of the number one spot because we have that unique opportunity. Not everybody has that opportunity.
No, I agree.
For a zoo like that, like we have here in Kansas City, most major cities have really good ones, but not everybody that's coming is from a major, metropolitan area.
No, the thrill seeker side of me absolutely loves Flight of Passage.
Yeah.
And I will tell everybody to do that ride. But then the older I get and the more sentimental I get attached with memories, it's in making those memories, I'll tell people to also do the safaris. Yeah. And then I also don't discount the trails because you get up close with the gorillas and the tigers and
they are they're really beautiful.
The zoo. Yeah.
The landscaping there is absolutely stunning. I mean, they've done such a beautiful job of just making you feel like you are completely not in Florida anymore.
No,
you are not in animal. You are not in. It's very immersive. It's very beautiful. They've done a wonderful job with it, and the caretakers there take such incredible care of all the animals. And I mean, so it's it is you get to go into the bat house and really be up close with these huge bats and I mean, you have lots of opportunities with it, but again, that side of Animal Kingdom, that section of Animal Kingdom is probably the most zoo-like out of,
it is.
Out of the whole of Animal Kingdom, right?
Yeah. One of the things I also like about that, though, is having read all the Kingdom Keepers books, there is a big part in one of those books that takes part in Animal Kingdom and in those trails and some of those details, and we can see those.
Now, I also really like the trails on Discovery Island, having towards the tree, towards the center, and you have these smaller animals, and they're more unique,
right? And you can always find quiet spots back in there and good views of the tree. Yep.
Okay, so I'm shocked, honestly, that we really didn't even go for Everest.
Yeah.
Expedition Everest has been one of my favorite roller coasters.
Oh, mine too.
I absolutely love it. I've been blessed enough that I have ridden it without Disco Yeti.
Yep.
Just once, but I've I love Expedition
No,
Everest, and it's one
of my favorites.
It's one of the few that Jackson can still get me to go on.
Yeah.
There's very few of them anymore that I can go on and not get motion sick, but it does fall to my, like, of the rides, so like Flight of Passage, Navi River Journey, Expedition Everest, Safari, Dinosaur.
Yeah.
I absolutely will not get on Dinosaur. That's another one I won't.
Brooklyn wants to ride it.
Brooklyn, you can deal with that.
Me and Jackson will take her.
Oh, that's promising. Make him sit in front of her, not behind her. Do not let him sit behind her. That will be, he'll just the whole time he'll be like, rah.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, Flight of Passage is the newest ride.
Right.
Out of, Pandora is the newest experience, and it's the most unique out of all of them. It's definitely going to be my top, but it's, all of them are good in their own way. Another thing I would say for rides that I didn't really think about as a ride, because I do think of it more of an experience than a ride, but you do stand in line to get on it, is the train to go up to the petting zoo.
Yeah, I don't care if I ever do that again.
No, me neither. I mean,
the train's kind of neat because it kind of wobbles back and forth. Like, you would think of like a train, like kind of run down tracks going through Africa.
And you sit sideways. So you sit facing the long side of the car versus, like, so you face out.
Right.
Like on the long side of the car versus like facing forward or backwards. And so that's kind of cool because you do get to see this really cool behind the scenes look of like how they care for the animal, where they're caring for the animals.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Like it's one of those things where I'm like, if you've done it once, great.
Yeah. And it's nice whenever you get out there because they do have like the little vet station set up there. You can see them taking care of animals. And
every once in a while you get to see something really unique and cool there. But
but I don't need to go out and pet goats.
No. And we have an entire children's farmstead here that we can go do that out if that's something we really want. Or we can just go to the Porters. We are so blessed to live in an area that still has lots of farms and lots of friends who have fun animals.
Right. So we're kind of in agreement. Flight of Passage and Safari would be the two things we tell people to do, right?
Those are our
must-dos. What about food? Food, this could be a tougher one.
So it's a little harder, and it's going to be harder for us because Animal Kingdom Day for us is also our travel day.
Yeah.
Coming in. Mm-hmm. We have an Dark 30 flight, and
that keeps getting darker and
Southwest
darker.
is on my list. Great for the fact that we will be down there early in the day, but really bad for the fact that we are going to be exhausted. And it's going to throw off our food schedule based on when we get there and all of that. Mm-hmm. So that becomes more complex as far as like, okay, well, where do we eat? When do we eat? We actually, before recording this, we're actually looking at dining reservations and trying to change one of them, possibly just for that reason.
Right.
My must do. There are actually more places to eat in Animal Kingdom than I think people realize.
Oh yeah.
And I would really love to actually eat lunch for me at Harambe Market. Huh. It is something we haven't ever done.
No.
It's either already closed for the day, like it was only open at lunch, because sometimes that has happened. We've tended to go in off-peak season, so it's not always open all day.
Right.
Or we've had reservations.
Right.
At Tusker House, or we've had reservations at Yak and Yeti. And so we just haven't utilized it as some place to eat. And it's some place I'd really like to try.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that one. One thing about Animal Kingdom is there are a lot of food carts around. And some of those food carts have some of the most unique and, for some, best things you can find around the parks. Like, other than Epcot, I think Animal Kingdom is the next foodie park.
Oh, yeah.
Like, without a doubt.
Well, and because you have it's just that you're able to have world flavors that you don't get in the same way in Epcot.
Right.
You get to... It's a lot harder to bring in more adventurous food into Magic Kingdom when you have a lot more littles. You have a lot more of a range of people. So you've got to feed the masses.
Right.
In more so than you do, say, in Animal Kingdom where people are expecting that, or Epcot where they're expecting that.
Right. And surprisingly, our kids agreed on something, kind of. And what they both want as their must-do comes from the same little food stand over in Pandora, and Pongu Pongu.
Pongu Pongu.
And for Brooklyn, I think every time she's on here, she talks about this drink, and it's what she wants.
So good.
It is good, and it's called a Night Blossom.
It's a Night Blossom. It's a non-alcoholic specialty drink, and it's apple and pear, like icy. Drink, and kind of like a smoothie icy type mix, and then it has boba balls on top, and I think they're peach flavored if I remember right.
Yeah,
and it is so good. It was actually the first time we had it. It was the first time we'd ever tried boba, and so that was a new thing for us, and really we're pleasantly surprised.
It's something I'm shocked that she likes.
Yeah. She's a texture kid.
And she is our picky eater, and it sometimes makes finding things tough, but she gets a little bit more adventurous there.
Well, part of it is that being there is it's like, if I don't go ahead and try it, I'm not going to get another chance.
Right.
Whereas trying something or refusing to try something here is different, because she's going to get another chance to try it if she decides to change her mind. I was really surprised that she wants to eat at Satuli Canteen as well.
Yeah, that was actually going to be mine, was Satuli Canteen. But we've ate there before.
We have eaten there before and really liked it. I mean,
it is.
I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was for how simple it really is.
It's like I don't necessarily want to call it like a Chipotle. It's not necessarily Chipotle.
It's a bowl.
It's a bowl. Yeah.
You get to customize it a little bit with a sauce and a base, and so.
And it's spicy, but not like hot spicy. Like lots of
flavor spice.
Yeah.
And there's options. I mean, you get an option between like a beef and a chicken and like a coleslaw thing and like a rice and so you get to customize it.
Cheeseburger pods.
She wants the cheeseburger pods, which is really what she wants to try there.
But I don't know that she would like it, because they got mustard and pickles, and I mean, she doesn't like either one of those.
I think she'll be okay.
Yeah?
I do.
Okay. But yeah, so Tule Canteen was going to be mine, although I agree with Jackson on his. But so Tule Canteen, I think, is a good one, especially if you've been at a lot of the other parks. Like if you've been at Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and you're like, I can't do another burger and fry type quick service, this is a good mix, and you can make it fairly healthy.
Oh yeah, so it really is. I mean,
it's a good change of pace
on the range of better for you foods. It definitely ranks up there more so than several other places. I will always eat. I mean, we've had really, really amazing meals at Yak and Yeti. We've had really spectacular experiences at Tusker House. One place we have not eaten that I would say is high on my list too, but at the same time, I'm like, it feels way too fancy for me for as sweaty as I usually am in Animal Kingdom.
Right.
And that's Tiffin's.
Right.
And, I mean, it looks amazing.
It looks amazing, but at the same time, we've never felt like we wanted to go in there and either spend that money with one kid who's really picky and the other one who just wants to hurry up and eat and go ride more rides, or like 2 dining credits, because what it usually was when dining plan.
Right, because it's signature. Please, Disney, hear my prayer. Please bring back the dining plan. I would say for me, I am most excited about, and on my must-dos, is like I really do want to try to eat at Harambe. I think it's something different we haven't done.
No, absolutely.
I'm excited to try the cheeseburger pods at Satuli.
Yep.
I definitely want a night blossom. 100%
Right.
agree with Brooklyn there. Jackson wants a different snack there that I'm
At Pongu Pongu.
at Pongu Pongu. And
I really like these too, and it was originally on my list. And I'm like, I got enough food items on my must-dos. I can kind of switch it up. But it's called a Pongu Lumpia?
I think it's Lumpia.
Anyway, a pineapple and cream cheese like spring roll, and they're good. They're really good.
You don't know that yet.
We had them.
We did not.
We have had them.
When?
When the same time we got the night blossom drink.
I don't remember this. I only remember the drink.
Okay.
It was the end. That was towards the end of the day, though. I was done.
Yeah. No, we got them, and they are tasty.
Okay.
I like
them. I believe you.
Okay. I hope so.
I mean, like, here's the thing. There are still lots of options. I know last time we have run into before where we've tried to, grab a quick service there at the end of the night, and it was not the best experience.
Yeah, Flame Tree Barbecue at the end of the night, not recommended. No,
Lunch, I think it would be fine.
I've had plenty of good Flame Tree Barbecue.
Yeah. I've had it enough to know that was I had enough. That was an off experience.
It just been sitting under the lamps for a while at that point. It was super dried out and not very good.
Yeah.
But there's other really good snacks there too, like ice cream sandwiches you can get from like Dino Bites, and they're like specifically for Animal Kingdom. You don't get those at the other parks.
Right.
So like look around a little bit. It doesn't just have to be like Mickey Premium ice cream bars and like the stuff you can get in the other parks. Like Animal Kingdom has stuff that's very unique just for that park.
And I do feel like there are even more, like all of the parks have some sort of stand, some sort of place where you can get more fresher snacks, like fresh fruits, and you can get healthier items, right?
Absolutely.
All of the parks have those now, but I feel like Animal Kingdom has even more of that versus everybody else. And, so that, and more plant-based options than just about anywhere else, I feel like.
Right.
I don't know that that's for sure that I could say that they have more plant-based. It just feels like it. And maybe that's just because it's a little more prominent.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But it's pretty much every section of the park there has several different places or carts that you can get something to eat. Mm-hmm. So food is not a worry in Animal Kingdom.
Oh, I still talk about the spring rolls I had or the egg rolls I had.
You can't find anymore.
They don't have anymore. But, I mean, the kids were little. That was that the trip we went on post-deployment, or was that...
I'm trying to remember.
Or was that when they were, like, little?
I think it may have been, like, when she was
waddling
around. Yeah.
Those were literally, like, I still, like, I can't recreate, like, I haven't been able to find one that's even comes close. And it may have just been that I was that, like... hungry.
And that just hit the spot because it was different.
That was perfect. But it is a nice thing. I'm super excited to be able to try a couple places that we haven't been before, a couple things we haven't done before, and to get some of our favorites.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to go and you know that there's things that you like and you've had before, or you've, heard 20 people talk about and you're like, I'm definitely trying that because it sounds exactly like something I would like, get it.
Right.
Like, don't, if you don't like, if you look at the menu, I mean, that's the great thing now is that you can look at all of the menus.
Right.
You can look in the app, you can look online. And if you're looking in the app, I do highly suggest when you are trying to look up and look at menus, if you know the name of the place that you're looking for, just search it and have it pop up rather than having to try to look on the map and like zoom and click on it. The map sometimes isn't always your friend.
Right.
But all of them you can view the menus on, which is super helpful to be able to look through and be like, yeah, there's no way that our kids are going to eat anything, in this, like, or to be able to look through and be like, hey, I'm a vegetarian, so I need to make sure that there's a plant-based option for me. Like, like I am not, I'm just hypothetical. Brooklyn basically is, minus tacos, cheeseburgers, and Chick-fil-A, but that's
pepperoni. So that leaves us with Entertainment. Favorite entertainment. You're saying like this is a tough one.
It is. It is hard because, one, there's some new stuff that we haven't gotten to see before at Animal Kingdom. There's some stuff that isn't really like fully, it's not the same.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's all back now.
It'll be all back before we get down there. I got a feeling I know what you're talking about. Does it involve tumble monkeys?
It does involve tumble monkeys. Which is my number one.
Right.
But I'm very curious as to yours.
Okay. So my number one that's out of all the live shows at all the parks, that one's my favorite show. And that's Festival of the Lion King.
Yeah.
Absolutely my favorite show. But I'm going to go a different direction. And because I really want to experience the winged encounters.
We haven't ever done that.
I know.
And it's shocking to me that we never have, but I think it's just been, we've always been like, go, go, go.
Right.
Like,
I want to watch all those parrots fly in to the front of the Tree of Life and then fly back out.
Yeah.
Like, after watching that show on Disney Plus about Animal Kingdom and how they, like, how much training those birds go through.
Oh, yeah.
And how, like, what they have to do to certify. Right. Like, I want to watch it, like, and watch them all come in and know that they're coming from a little ways away from the other side of the park.
Yeah.
And flying in and then flying back to where they came from.
Yeah.
And they don't lose them.
And every once in a while, they, like, swoop down and scare the crap out of people. But, you know, that's...
I think it's because they have a sense of humor.
I do, too. You know, I'm super excited about that one, too. My must-do, though, like, when I'm talking about it, like, I'm like, I do not want to... Going to Animal Kingdom is not the same for me without going to Festival of the Lion King.
Right. And that was both of the kids' picks as well.
Well, here's my thing about it. It is one of the few entertainment shows that you get to be close enough to the entertainers.
Right.
Where they can look you in the eyes and they can see you and they notice kids in costumes and it's interactive. Right. There are points in the show where kids get an opportunity to like get up and like go around the you know, kind of march around the stage like aspect in the center. Like I mean like you get to feel like you are a part of it even if you're just staying in the bleachers.
Right.
And so it's such a cool experience in that I cried recently watching a reel of somebody who dressed their daughter up as her favorite, the guys that are on the stilts.
Yeah.
And they dressed her up in a costume that they made to look like them. And of course, cast members saw this and they brought out that character after the show to meet her. And the guy who plays Mufasa came out too and like picked her up. And like it was one of those moments and like those kind of smiles that like I'm literally tearing up talking about it. Like those were like Disney magic moments of like you have these performers and these people who they care about sharing that magic in that story with the people who are in that room.
No, and that's one of those shows we've seen a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And every time it still gets you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like it draws you in. Well, and there's magic with it each time.
And the performers are incredible. I mean, they are absolutely amazing. And they have these incredible voices and these incredible talents and flip through the air and slide on silks. And like, I go, you're amazing. Like, you're just amazing. And, and to get to see art in that way is a gift. And so I really thoroughly enjoy getting to see that. But I really hadn't thought about the wing. Like I'm like sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, there's not that many shows. There's not that many. Like I'm starting to look through the list and I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, there's a bit. Like Brooklyn almost said the dancers from, I don't even remember their name, but they were.
They're over in Harambe.
And they come over and they're playing drums and they're dancing and you got one guy who starts going out there with all these quick feet and making all these moves and they start pulling people from the crowd. That's where it went downhill for me.
That's one of Brooklyn's favorite memories though, is you getting out there and shake your tail feather. The other one that I had, you know, I do really enjoy is those cavalcades that come around on the river. The problem is that you're not
there's no real interaction with them. Like
And
closest
there's
you
no
get with
time.
closest you get with an interaction is if you get that good spot in between Pandora and Africa where you're fairly close, but you still don't get that.
It's kind of the
right.
cut-through bridge
There are, like, you can meet Kevin. Like, Kevin from Up is walking around, which it's one of my favorite pictures ever.
Yeah.
I
still have no idea how I got that photo, but I'm
so
glad I did.
It's a great picture. And, but they don't have as many meet and greets around as, like, the other parks.
They used to have quite a few. Which was really nice. And some ones that were unique to Animal Kingdom.
Right.
And aren't any longer. And I do hope that will come back as we're continuing to open things up. But, you know, the other thing that I am super excited about entertainment-wise, and I'm really hopeful that we're still going to get to see this, even though sunset is technically after.
Think about this one.
After the park closes that day, is the Beacons of Magic on the Tree of Life, and getting to see all the colors and getting to see kind of the little show aspect that comes with the.
I don't know if we will get to see it.
I think they're showing it every night. It's got to be happening to some degree, but
because the park closes before sunset.
Yeah, but that's true sunset. It will be
possibly.
It's still going to be dimmed in comparison to. Yeah. I still think they're going to be able to show something of it.
You would think. Huh. Well, there were more must-dos at this park than
I was thinking.
Than what I thought we were going to run into. But I would love to know what your guys' must-dos are. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and shoot us what your must-dos are. And you can find us at Salute to the Ears at both of those, Twitter and Instagram. And with that, please go out and find your joy.
And have a magical week.